In this video I'm going to be rebuilding the water pump for the 2004 Audi S4, and this is going to be the same process for up to the 2007, which is also the B6, B7, which is the same water pump that you will be using. So you have two options that you could do as far as the water pump goes. First option is you can buy yourself a whole brand new assembly, everything brand spanking new if you want, or if you're on a budget, you can do the route that I'm taking, which is the rebuild process. As always, I'm gonna put a link down in the description to all the parts needed. Even if you want to buy the new water pump, I'll also link down that below. So the first thing is an O-ring. So this O-ring right here is gonna go this between this connection right here and right here. Thermostat. The thermostat's gonna be coming and going in right here. Within the water pump, you'll get a baggie with 3 O-rings. So 2 of those O-rings will be external, and this bigger O-ring is going to be going inside. And then obviously the water pump itself. I almost forgot one important thing is that the O-ring for this crossover pipe right here. So this O-ring will also be changed out, and I'll put a screenshot of the part on the screen. There is no right or wrong way to which process to do first, but I'm just going to go ahead and do the water pump itself first. So what's keeping the water pump down are these 2 screws. So here's one, and the second one right here. So the bolt that you'll need, or the socket that you need for this, I actually don't have it, but I did find an alternate route. So I'm going to show you two sockets here. So they're actually both 1/4 inch sockets. One has a 6 point and the other one has like a lot of points. So with the 6 point, yes, it does fit, but there's a slight little wiggle. But when you use the one with all the points, there is no wiggle at all. So I'm going to go ahead and use the one with a lot of points to remove these 2 screws right here. And here are the 2 screws. Here it is, the part. So this is what the inside looks like. Definitely now is a good time to see if there's any like debris or anything, or just, obviously give it a good clean, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that there shouldn't be any really debris in there. So here is the water pump right here. This is the old one, and then the new one is right here. So obviously it should there's a slight difference. The only difference is obviously this one's worn out. You can see how it just, with time, because I'm pretty sure this pump has been on the car since it rolled out of the factory back in 2004. So you can definitely see how it's, kind of browned. And here's the new one. So the difference I see, besides it being, worn out and dirty, is the propeller itself. So these are black, and these are kind of like a chrome finish. So this has 8 blades or 8 fins, and so does this one, 8 blades or fins. I don't know which one's the correct term, but I apologize if they're both wrong actually. So yeah, they have 8. So as far as the difference goes, when trying to spin this definitely you can tell it needs to be changed out, because it's just kind of struggling to turn. Let's try to do this with one hand. Yeah, definitely, there's definitely resistance when trying to turn this thing. And with the new one, I mean, that's like butter. Very smooth. So yeah. So it's definitely a good thing I'm changing this out. So within the little baggie that it comes with the pump, as mentioned before, you have 3 O-rings. These circle ones are on the exterior, and I'll show where those go later. And then this one is the only one that's internal. So this will go, obviously fit right along with with the inside of the pump. So yeah, that's all it is. And pretty much that's all it is to changing this water pump. So give this thing a good clean down. Make sure the surface is nice and smooth, and then go ahead and put these on together now. The 2 bolts that I just put on, I had to be tightened to 10 Newton meters. That was the pump. So the pump is all done. Both these are torqued down to 10 Newton meters, and now, oh yeah, that spins way better and smooth, because before with the old one I had trouble trying to spin it with just my fingers. So the next part is removing that thermostat. In order to get to it, we're going to be on the other side now, and the same thing how we had these 2 bolts, I'm going to use the same socket for these 4 right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. All 4 screws are now off, and this one actually got lucky, so this one I was able to pull apart by hand. So here's that other O-ring that I got, and here's that thermostat that I'll be changing out. And this is what the inside looks like on this side of the water pump. I'm gonna go ahead and give this surface part like a good clean to give a better seal, and obviously this side of the on this side too. In order to remove the thermostat, you gotta push down. So you gotta push down, so this is a better view. Push down on these 2 and try to twist it whichever direction you're allowed. So I'm pushing down and turning it clockwise. So it's pretty, there we go. So it's definitely tough. It's definitely not easy. And then yeah, here it is. So this is the old thermostat, and this is the new one. I really don't see anything wrong beside it being used. So pretty much to put this back in, as you can see, there's these little grooves, these little key slots right here, where these little wings, I don't know if these are the correct terms, will set in place. And before I go on, I almost forgot, this part right here, make sure it goes down into that center right there, not off to the side like this, but down into that hole right there. And the way you can tell that actually sitting in there, you can look at it through this hole right through this opening right here. If the light shines just right, there. Here is the new thermostat inside. So real quick, I was having problems. This may happen to you or may not. So there's this little spring right here. So there's 2 springs. There's the main spring right here, and there's a little spring right here. So I was having trouble trying to compress these arms to fit into these notches right here. That's part of the housing. So so pretty much after trial and error, trying to grip these vice these springs together so I can just move this, I was able to get that middle spring kind of below. I was able to get this arm below this spring right here. So it may happen or it may not happen to you, so just FYI. So that's why this is kind of all beat up and scratched up, but it's all good. And also one more important thing, this little ball thing notch, make sure, so when you're looking at like this, view it as a 12 o'clock position, and here's a 6 o'clock. Make sure it's in between the 3 and 9 o'clock, so right here, because if you have this on this side, it's not going to seat up against the inside right here. So just again, make sure it's between here and here, that little ball seat right there. Now I can go ahead and put the new O-ring in. Once that's all said and done, now I can go ahead and put this back. And as the others, just like the other screws, there's 4 screws, and these are all torqued down to 10 Newton meters. When removing the crossover pipe from the pump assembly, it's fairly simple. It's just this one bolt screw right here, which is you'll need a T30 torque set, and it's really simple. Remove it, and then this just pops right out, and as you can see, that O-ring is really beat up, so it's definitely a good thing to also change out this O-ring, and it sits in right here. So because there's, you know, the O-ring's pretty torn up, if this is your situation, definitely give this inside a clean, because you don't want any rubber parts of the rubber in here. The new O-ring will just go around this right here, and then because this O-ring is going to be a little tough to get into there, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and lubricate this O-ring just very so slightly, and I am using silicone grease to lubricate this O-ring. Just enough, not a lot. Lube is around the O-ring. Go ahead now, insert the pipe, crossover pipe back in, give it a nice wiggle, and there. So this screw here will be torqued down to 10 Newton meters as well as the other screws. This is a lot easier to do when you have this whole thing out removed. With that being said, because I already have the engine out, so it's easier just to take this thing apart. So again, there's two O-rings. You have one that's a thinner build and one that's a little bit thicker. So the thicker build is going to go up here. It's going to go up here. And then the thinner build one is going to go right here. Well, technically, this one, there's a little groove inside the block that this goes in. When you're looking at the block, there's a little groove in there, so that's the O-ring that this is gonna go. An overview of everything that has been done real quick. The O-ring for the crossover pipe, a new pump, again the O-ring that goes inside internally for the water pump, these two O-rings, and then the thermostat, and then the O-ring that's between these two housings right here. So with all that being said, that is pretty much how you rebuild the water pump assembly. Hopefully this was educational and very beneficial to any of you guys watching this, and thanks for watching and have a good one.